What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today we saw yet another semi-final of the UEFA Nations League. Netherlands 3, England 1, and certainly a match that can be served as an example, as piece of evidence for those opposing playing football from the back and those in favor of it, because this game had absolutely everything. I mean intensity, I mean emotion, I mean mistakes, a lot of mistakes, but also a lot of individual performances that we certainly have to cover. So if you didn't manage to even get a single glimpse of this match, be sure to check this video. We're going to be covering everything that you need to know, as well as the consequences that might arise after, of course, this victory from La Máquina Naranja from the Netherlands, which will be facing Portugal this Sunday for the final. And trust me, that will be a very, very good game. And one more thing before starting off this video, be sure to check out our friends at Golazo Jersey. Links are also going to be in the description down below. They are a very good place to get cheap, reliable, quality footballing kits, so go there and get yours. So starting off, taking into account what we do in this channel, certainly I want to talk about the Ligt, De Jong and Ronald Koeman, but I'm going to do them later on in this video. First of all, we're going to start off with a summary of what happened with the game, because I think there were some very interesting pointers that we must discuss. So first thing first, I believe that it was very similar to yesterday's game, in where there was a team that was much better with the ball and certainly had the dominance and just basically dominating the first half. In this case was going to be Netherlands, and then another team that didn't had as much of that, but were very pragmatic and knew exactly when to be effective when time needs be, and that was England. With that being said, Netherlands didn't have that cutting edge. They were a little bit just too shallow and couldn't manage to penetrate England. They didn't create any attempts at all, and they were kind of lackluster. They had the ball, they had the play, they had everything. A De Jong that was the main machine making it work. And I'm gonna talk about De Jong, but just as a little kind of hint, De Jong was the man of the match by far from minute 10. You could just see that this guy was the only player simply in 10 or 5 levels up above everybody else in this field. I recall to one exact moment where there was John Stones that was coming to foul him, and he just simply does like a little flick kind of Rabona behind him and gets the foul. And that's just intense, just insane. So De Jong, just superb. But well, Netherlands started like that, and England took advantage of it because they had individual players also that managed how to win on one-on-ones. For me specifically, there were 2 of them, Kyle Walker and Ben Chilwell. They just look also incredible when it comes to progressing the ball for England, because England, they lack that in that midfield. For me, England can put a lot of players with a lot of physicality in people like Fabian Delph, people like, I don't know, Eric Dyer, but not enough players that can get the ball and just initiate a progression to the forward line. They don't have that. Probably the only ones being someone like Phil Foden, but he's yet too young to make an improvement here on this team, or someone like Harry Winks. They didn't have that in the squad, certainly, and by starting Declan Rice, Fabian Delph, that also in a sense gave England the ability to just overcome the midfield of someone like De Jong, of Wijnaldum and Martin de Roon, because their physicality was 1-2 levels higher than those of the Netherlands players, you say, of the Dutch players, and just that's how they managed to get it. That's how they managed to keep Netherlands basically just silent for the very first 45. And they found, I believe, the goal from Rashford, from something which the Netherlands are going to be very kind of offended by, I don't know, humiliated by, and that's because of pressure, high pressure, and playing out the back. There was a mistake from De Ligt that led to the goal, of course, of Marcus Rashford, which he put it very well, the penalty, but that's just the pressure from England. England knew exactly when to press, when to keep tidy, and the physicality that they had, just like I said, overcome what Netherlands could do when it comes to passing the ball and try to progress it and have that cutting edge. They simply didn't have that. Babel was just too static, didn't manage to get past and exposed just the space that someone like Kyle Walker left in behind. That's why in the second half, bringing someone like Quincy Promes changed the dynamic completely, because Bergwijn therefore had more space to do whatever he wants, because the defenders had to focus a little bit more on a player like Quincy Promes, and Quincy Promes took advantage of those spaces that the fullbacks left in behind. That gave just Netherlands the cutting edge that they were lacking. They managed to attack much more frequently and put someone like Depay in more dangerous areas. Hence, Depay didn't score a single goal, but we have to highlight the good performance that he had, because the running, the effectiveness that he has just by passes, and basically very good decision making gave, I'll say, Netherlands the win. You could also give it down to him, because he was the one doing the work when it came to the final third. People like Quincy Promes for that second goal, which is not the second goal of him, but certainly an own goal from Kyle Walker. Depay was the one to put the pressure on Stones, get the ball, miss, wonderful save from Pickford, but then he was that guy. He was the guy working for it, and the same for the third goal. So I don't know, Depay certainly needed something else, needed a reward for his performance in this game, but sometimes that just happens to the best of them. That certainly can happen, and for Depay it happened today. In the case with England, I think the moment that I started decreasing was when they took Jadon Sancho out. That was completely a substitution that Southgate could have just avoided. They didn't need to do that. By introducing Harry Kane, they now kind of lacked that kind of pace with it through the center, although they gained someone which could help them cover up more ground because his hold of play is much better. Then removing Sancho and introducing Lingard, which isn't an out-and-out winger, didn't help at all, because Lingard didn't come inside. He kind of played through the right, but you already had Sancho in that. If you want that role to be covered, you already had a player that was doing it, and a player which does that much better. Why take out Sancho? That didn't happen. And more importantly, by having someone like Lingard, the fullbacks didn't have much space to cover up. The same thing someone like Wijnaldum for the Netherlands was starting to play a much more of a utility role, covering spaces for the left, for the right, for the middle, and acting in 4 different positions in one single game. He took out being an attacking midfielder. Ronald Koeman identified that wasn't good enough and then shifted it to another position where he could just be effective. Someone like Kyle Walker, like Chilwell, had to first of all think about Wijnaldum before trying to attack and progress the ball. That's how the Netherlands managed to withstand the attack of England for the very first few minutes of the second half. Of course, the goal came later on from Matthijs de Ligt, and that's when I'm gonna start talking a little bit more about that. But before, I wanna kind of mention the mistakes. The mistakes of John Stones, which once again was from pressure, and John Stones easily I could say that this game was lost by Barkley and Stones. Easily, I could really say that, and much more Stones, because for the third goal that was from Quincy Promes, the pass that Stones put into Barkley was a pass that he shouldn't have done. Just clear it, push it long. You don't need to pass it short to Barkley. If you see that he has a man in his back, you don't have to do it. Just clear it out. He didn't have to do that at all, and he just really put his team in a very bad position, and he managed single-handedly, in my eyes, to cost England 2 goals. John Stones really looks like the John Stones as soon as he came to Manchester City, constantly making mistakes and not being confident in himself. So if John Stones was kind of like the shittiest player on the field, then the best player was Frankie de Jong. I already mentioned it and hinted to it before, saying that he was kind of like the main gear that made everything turn in the Netherlands, and he surely was. He had 100 passes and a 96% accuracy. 100 passes and 96% accuracy. That's just wonderful for certainly us Barcelona fans who want to see him at our club doing the same thing that he does for the Netherlands, and it's just insane. It's just insane. Another player that I want to point out is De Ligt, and here I come to the title of this video. The reason of De Ligt that I think he needs to come to Barcelona is that the attitude that this guy has, because he makes a mistake of 19 years old. Yes, I can say he makes a mistake, it's fine, because he's gonna improve much better, but the attitude in the game for him, who was having a terrible game, to come back from it, score the equalizer, and then single-handedly for me cancel Harry Kane out of the entire game. There were so many aerial threats in that England side, and he was one of the main reasons why they didn't manage to even be better from set pieces. So they looked amazing. The attitude to come back from it was just incredible, and we must applaud that. For 19 years old, he keeps proving that he can be the best center back for decades to come. The other thing, and the other kind of like title here for my video, is why should Ronald Koeman come to Barcelona? Because I believe that before at teams like at Everton, he of course wasn't the best, But he has also developed as a manager. That doesn't mean that a person who had done a bad job before, in my eyes it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great also, cannot improve. His in-game adjustments for me were the thing that won the Netherlands this game, and he didn't take away from it. He didn't care at all what people would think of him. Of course, he would have put on Proms and Van de Beek from the get-go and perhaps not even get the result. That would have been completely different, but he didn't stuck to what he thought. He didn't stuck to his original game plan. He changed when it needed to happen. And that's the thing why I believe we need a manager like that, who isn't scared to make those in-game adjustments. And that's why I think Ronald Koeman could be a potential candidate for me to replace Valverde probably next season. And the very same thing of kind of like adjusting Wijnaldum around the field. Wijnaldum is such a utility player. We have someone like Sergio Roberto, which couldn't kind of do that role, and he just keeps shifting him around, not sticking to one position, and just realize that sometimes some players need more help. And he isn't scared of using someone like Wijnaldum to create that kind of ease for De Jong, for someone like De Roon. So for me, Ronald Koeman proved that he's up to the task, and he's leading a Netherlands side to a final against Portugal, and that's gonna be a great game. So that's gonna be everything for today, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Be sure to drop us a like, leave us a subscribe, do all that jazz, and leave me down below also in the comments what do you think of this game. For me, the Ligt, and like I say, in a sense, Ronald Koeman as well, prove that they can be Barcelona quality. So, but should Barcelona be looking into them? That's the question. That's gotta be the question. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.